Foundation Internal Dossier. The Foundation is made up of numerous personnel, each one bringing individual skills and abilities to the fore. Outside of the Foundation, there are thousands of people living in and around anomalous communities. Anartists, magic users, and extra-dimensional beings are but a few instances of what the Foundation has encountered. The content of this dossier is restricted to Level 4 personnel and above. Foundation doctors and researchers. Dr. Lakshmi Agarwal, a withdrawn and uptight specialist in animal behavior with a mysterious connection to a dangerous Keter-class entity. Loyalties to the Foundation are questionable, romantic entanglement with her subject is likely, involvement with the Serpent's Hand is suspected. Dr. Charles N. Burrow, Director of Sites 59 and 117, Keter Containment Specialist. Curious and crippled, a nuclear physicist who can't seem to stay away from cataclysmic threats. Fortunately, through an absurd combination of improvisation and miracles, he seems to be the best man for the job. His sad smile and dry humor belie the confused past of a man always searching for answers.
I fucking hate you. I miss you, Dad.
He walks in the shadow of a great man, throughout his whole life and to this day, and he is none the wiser. Keeping several ends of the world in check, stopping XK, YK, and ZK events, none of it will ever be enough to satiate his envy, his hatred, his great emptiness from which the tears will never run dry. He will never stop searching for answers, and, for the sake of humanity, it is imperative that he finds one. Dr. Django Bridge, Foundation Archivist. Quiet but influential, with a touch of both melancholy and whimsy. Extraordinary memory. Known to be on a first-name basis with Dr. Bright, and has frequently acted as an informal assistant for him. Dr. Jack Bright, Director of Foundation Personnel. Somewhat amoral. Extremely loyal to the Foundation. May or may not be friendly and or terrifying, is certainly blunt. Attached to SCP-963, and is therefore immortal, using the body of whatever 963 has last touched.
I've been with the company for a long time. I am not the damned monkey.
His relatives and siblings have been associated with the Foundation since time immemorial. His younger brother is SCP-590, which a few know. SCP-321 is a sister, which almost no one knows. At least 2 other relatives work for the Foundation at a high level. Several of Bright's discarded bodies, still possessing his personality and knowledge at time of separation from 963, have been put to work on secret Foundation projects. Bright possesses a desire to permanently die that he may not be conscious of, ironic, for he only became part of 963 because he was not trying to die. Dr. Jeremiah Samirian, an ethics committee liaison that takes his job only somewhat seriously. He never thought his doctorate in English literature or his minor in philosophy would actually help him stay employed, but the former got him recruited into the Foundation as a researcher and the latter secured his employment in the long term. Has an unusual interest in puns and the ethical treatment of humanoids. Dr. Alto Clef, a highly adaptable, clever liar. Former Global Occult Coalition operative, specializing in reality benders. Also former file clerk. Undergone anomalous alterations that provide resistance to reality shifts and prevent his face from being photographed. Has a long and checkered history, and a somewhat hidden streak of self-hatred. Reformed misogynist. Most rumors about him are exaggerated or off-point. Don't call him genre-savvy or enigmatic.
They'll say anything about me, except the truth.
GOC codename Agent Ukulele prior to defection. May or may not have had a child with a nature goddess as a teenage boy. The goddess was killed by the GOC, but the daughter became a current SCP object if this even happened at all. Involved in a number of CK-class reality restructuring events, and may be able to remember them. Is, or, is not, a manifestation of the being popularly known as the Devil, despite claims to the contrary. Researcher Jacob Conwell, Anomalous Materials Analyst. Master's degree in analytical chemistry. Current head of the Site-64 AMAT lab. Frequently called upon, Conwell has made a name for himself in the Foundation as a hard worker.
I'm doing so much these days.
Initially overeager to please Foundation superiors, promotion to primary investigator positions has resulted in multiple depressive episodes and insomnia, though these have improved following Conwell's transfer to Site-64 and marriage. Routine psychological evaluations are ongoing. Dr. Kane Pathas Crow, cross-disciplinary wunderkind researcher, specializing particularly in biochemistry and robotics. Rarely, if ever, seen in public. May or may not have been permanently transformed into a dog-like body as the result of a particular anomalous event.
I'm so tired these days, I don't even want to work on the walker.
Ran a number of highly classified cross-testing experiments with the aim of creating useful objects of anomalous origin, notably Project Olympia. Nearly terminated several times. Difficulties in the canine body and an unclear lifespan have resulted in a considerable drop in productivity. Many of his side projects have become dormant. Dr. Michael Edison, Level 3 researcher, current head of the Site-19 Metafiction Department, as well as its only member. Dr. Edison has received disciplinary action on multiple occasions due to a repeated pattern of unsanctioned and ill-conceived behavior. These behaviors have resulted in temporary reassignment to the Site Antarctic base. His current assignment at Site-19 is contingent on approval from his assigned therapist.
My legend begins in the 12th century. Fool!
Though quiet and reserved most of the time, Dr. Edison secretly dreams of being a badass like Dr. Clef, or at least the image most staffers have of Dr. Clef. While respected as a researcher, his attempts at more outrageous endeavors are most often met with derision. Has a petty, but long-standing grudge against delivery agent Roadrunner. Is known to sometimes write terrible fanfiction. Dr. Chelsea Photosynthetic Elliott, plant specialist, both anomalous and non-anomalous. Dedicated, friendly, prone to tunnel vision. Often in the field, excessively hands-on in her lab and field research, leading to a number of injuries. Scars cover her hands and arms.
We're at the cusp of something here.
Possible anomalous capability due to exposure to an anomalous item, a son of unknown provenance. This is unknown to her, and investigation is ongoing. Possible security risk due to strong personal desire to advance worldwide scientific knowledge in her chosen field. She's possibly a little too excited about the marvels she has studied. Dr. Charles Gears, Cog, a man strangely lacking in emotional response, to the point of lacking a startle response, and possessing unusual levels of logic and intellect. Former Euclid class object specialist before having his area of study expanded. Has been deeply involved with research regarding a truly shocking number of SCP objects, both major and minor. A figure of great influence in recent Foundation history.
It is not acceptable to inquire that. I do what is required.
Records claim he was recruited shortly after the founding of the Foundation, despite his age and personal history not quite matching up to that timeline. A personal fact that few know, he does feel emotion, when it's significant. He simply does not react to it or show it. Because he cannot. Why? If there is a reason, few know. Possibly the father of Alison Chow, the woman calling herself the Black Queen. Dr. Simon Glass, head of psychology. Trusted with performing psychological evaluations of highly ranked Foundation personnel. Very empathetic. Sometimes considered soft, and that's true, for a Foundation researcher, but he's still well trusted. In the course of his interviews, he has gained knowledge of more and more terrible secrets, yet still holds on to both his sanity and empathy.
I talk to everyone. I know everyone. Of course I'm loyal.
Associates linked to a number of groups of interest, including the Chaos Insurgency, via a relative, and the Serpent's Hand. Feels self-conscious about how higher-ups view him because of this. Dr. Frederick Hayden, neurology specialist. Anxious, uncertain, empathic, focused on logic. Involved in a number of highly classified projects, despite initially being barred from any non-safe classed objects.
Shh.
Maybe secretly under Dr. Bright's wing. There are plans for Haydn. Or were. Perhaps. Haydn may or may not have been killed and brought back to life. He may or may not in fact be dead, though he is listed as active staff and appears to be playing some kind of role within the Foundation regardless. Dr. Everett King, one of the Foundation's most experienced mathematicians, Dr. King's reputation has nevertheless been overtaken by his testing record involving unusual results. Despite this, he regularly contributes to internal Foundation intellectual periodicals.
I don't want any more goddamn apples. And I've never gotten any.
Dr. King's testing must be heavily supervised, due to the presence of apple seeds that seem to be increasing exponentially in intensity. Intensive observation indicates Dr. King is irritated by his seemingly inherent effect. Dr. Zin Kiryu, highly prolific researcher. Involved in a number of classified Foundation projects. Obsessive, driven, often not eating or sleeping in favor of finishing tasks. Joined the Foundation before finishing her schooling, finished through an accelerated Foundation program. Initially closed off and withdrawn, but opened up due to a latent ambitious streak. She often volunteers to handle new Foundation member intake, hoping to give new members a positive introduction to an often deeply horrifying organization. Has a private flair for poetry. Has accidentally inherited the absent Dr. Kondriki's affiliation with anomalous butterflies, including SCP-408 after Kondriki's disappearance.
I didn't ask for this. You know that's from a game, right?
Has a brother, Mark Kiryu, a higher-ranked researcher. O5 Command has its eye fixed on Zin Kiryu for unknown reasons, having dismissed her higher-ranked brother as ultimately irrelevant. She is being watched and investigated by the Red Right Hand, whether positively or negatively is unknown. Dr. Mark Kiryu, senior researcher and director of an anomalous items processing lab. Upon initial recruitment, had a successful career as a therapist, licensed psychologist. Worked extensively with SCP-1457 in his first years with the Foundation but doesn't talk about that, and has spearheaded several projects involving sapient SCP entities. Cheery attitude and a good listener, looks out for his co-workers and interns like a bit of a mother hen sometimes. Has a ceramic seahorse and potted bamboo on his desk. Dr. Adam Leeward, emotionally confused and ethically conflicted humanoid containment specialist from Site-11 and living in Site-81. May or may not have made a few mistakes, may or may not have cleaned up a few mistakes. Not without the standard degree of coldness in personality traits, but with a few, sometimes painful, soft spots.
There's something off about you, Lee. Of course, there always was.
Under watch for abnormal behavior. Well-intentioned, but not without flaws. Of course, in this field, flaws like these can get you in deeper than you ever expected. Dr. Sophia Light, biologist, surgeon, and site director with far too many secrets. A likable yet frightening person. Blunt, determined, calculating, good under pressure. Putting effort into remaining friendly and open, and emotionally stable. Bears minor facial scarring, and an old injury in her left hand sometimes impairs its functionality. Somewhat traumatic childhood, caretakers forced her to learn outdoor survival by leaving her stranded in the African wilderness for days on end. Joined the Foundation after a classified anomalous incident that killed 11 people, including her then fiancé. Currently or formerly romantically linked with Troy Lament.
It's not my fault they want another meeting.
The rumors that persist of Dr. Light's strangely close involvement with O5 Command are accurate. Seems to have been involved in a number of highly classified reality shifts, including some initiated by the Foundation itself. A centrally important figure to the Foundation for a number of extremely secret reasons, some of which she doesn't know, or does not still remember, herself. Dr. Samuel M. Lloyd, English mimeticist and part-time HMCL supervisor who shows up all over the place. Likes to keep tabs on whatever's going on, and likes interacting with anomalies more than is good for him.
Just remember, I never asked for this.
Cynical, self-centered, generally well-meaning but in over his head. Younger than you'd expect. Affected by an anomaly that causes him to die last. Word on the street is that something may be keeping him safe. Dr. Everett Mann, unconventional medical researcher with few scruples and a specialty in unusual forms of surgery. Jokingly referred to as a mad scientist. Sometimes not so jokingly. He objects to the term mad scientist, claiming that mad doctor would be more accurate, and further that the difference should be plain to anyone with a proper academic background to speak of. Easily willing to do monstrous things in the name of research. Possesses a dramatic mustache. Due to his upbringing, his cultural and popular knowledges are woefully out of date, leading to anachronistic and ridiculous situations.
Yes, I wanted to show you what I've been working on. It's dreadfully fascinating.
Came to Foundation attention via the uncle who raised him, a person of interest to the Foundation due to anomalous research. Considered a potential danger to the Foundation under certain predicted future circumstances. Dr. Jamie Marlowe, average researcher, specializing in space-time, extra-dimensional, and visual, spatial, and cognito-hazardous anomalies. Previously described as painfully average, notable more for minor interpersonal incidents and inappropriate outbursts when under stress. Marlowe's profile has slightly increased due to apparent unexplained connections to unrelated anomalous events which only appear to have increased in frequency. Dr. Riven Mercer, veterinary-focused researcher, the second in command of Curio Labs. Handles personnel allocation for incoming anomalous item caches, and often goes on outside assignments. Good with animals, and owns a grumpy bearded dragon lizard who lives in the lab. Technical researcher David Rosen, technical advisor and researcher. Responsible for ensuring the continued functionality of Site-19's technical infrastructure. Known for being acerbic and marginally accident-prone, he also manages the facility's technical department very well and is widely seen as a thrifty leader.
You want me to what?
Rosen actually knows very little about some of the more modern systems he's maintaining, but has been able to bluff his way past that by delegating individuals more qualified than he to work on them. Dr. Catherine Sinclair, acting head and one of only 2 members of the Occult Studies and Thaumatology Division at Site 87 in Sloth's Pit, Wisconsin. Has been involved in numerous incidents, including the assault on Sloth's Pit by the now-defunct group of interest Sayers Rain, and the 2014 Christmas incident. Has burn scarring on her forearms from a botched flame ritual.
It's not thaumaturgy, it's magic.
Dr. Sinclair performed her first spell at the age of 17, accidentally setting fire to her notebook by drawing a hermetic circle and infusing it with some latent magical talent she possessed. In college, she got involved with a more violent sect of the Serpent's Hand, and after seeing they were willing to sacrifice humans, which could lead to very violent thaumaturgical consequences, she practically ran to the Foundation. Any rumors about her hobbies and personal life are lies and slander. Dr. Johannes Sorts, mimetic specialist and field researcher, with a doctorate in art history. Caucasian, late 30s, unshaven with graying brown hair. Slightly overweight, usually wears a gray cap. Obsessive, cowardly, and paranoid in mundane situations, but solid and focused when presented with mimetic or information-based hazards. Multiple disciplinary reports due to poor choice of action under pressure, including the shooting of a guard while under influence. Currently under psychiatric evaluation and restricted to safer projects.
The fucking Foundation and that fucking toaster.
Influenced far more of the Foundation's fundamental doctrines than anyone is willing to admit. Under constant supervision due to several attempts to breach internal security on objects outside of his jurisdiction. Dr. Thaddeus Zionk, presently low-level but extremely significant Foundation researcher. Specializes in temporal anomalies. Somewhat arrogant and long-winded, but considered an up-and-coming genius.
Where is he? Where isn't he?
Extensive involvement in major Thaumiel projects, notably SCP-2000.